The arena had been built long before the human species ever learned how to leave its home system. Its stone floor was older than most civilizations, darkened by time and the memory of countless defeats. High above, curved balconies wrapped around the open space, filled with watchers from many worlds. Some had wings folded tight against their backs. Others rested on limbs too many to count. Their eyes, whether one or many, were all fixed on the same figure now standing alone at the center of the arena. The human looked small. He stood barefoot on the cold stone, his hands empty, his posture relaxed in a way that did not match his situation. His body carried marks of past battles, old scars that told quiet stories, but he wore no armor and carried no weapon. The arena keepers had offered him both. They always did. It was tradition, a show of fairness before the rules crushed hope. The human had refused. That single choice had already disturbed the crowd. Among the observers sat Valith, commander of the Third Expansion Fleet. Her kind valued control above all things, control of space, of resources, of outcomes. From her elevated seat, she studied the human with sharp interest. Her species had catalogued humans as fragile, dangerous in groups perhaps, but alone? Alone, they were meant to break. Valith did not believe in myths, but she believed in records, and the records said this fight would end quickly. Across the arena, the gates opened with a heavy sound that echoed through the stone. The opponent emerged slowly, filling the space with its presence. It was taller than the human by more than twice his height, its body shaped by a world with stronger gravity and constant predators. Thick muscle layered its limbs. Hardened plates covered vital areas. Its hands ended in heavy gripping claws, each one capable of crushing bone with little effort. The crowd reacted with quiet satisfaction. This was balance, they thought. This was order. The human did not move. Valith noticed that first. No fear response. No attempt to retreat or prepare a weapon, just stillness. His eyes remained on his opponent, not wide with panic, but focused, calm, almost curious. The signal was given. The fight began. The alien charged immediately, its steps shaking the arena floor. It did not waste time. This was not a contest meant for beauty or skill. It was a display of dominance. One blow would be enough. The human waited until the last moment. When the strike came, it was fast and heavy. A claw swept toward the human's head with the force of a falling vehicle. The watchers expected impact. They expected blood. Some leaned forward to see it better. Instead, the human moved. It was not graceful. It was not fast enough to look impressive. But it was timed perfectly. He stepped inside the arc of the strike, close enough that the alien's strength worked against itself. The blow passed behind him, missing by the smallest distance. The human's shoulder slammed into the alien's side, not to hurt, but to shift weight. The alien stumbled. The sound that followed was not cheers, but confusion. The alien recovered quickly and turned, striking again, then again. Each blow carried power meant to end the fight. Stone cracked under missed strikes. Dust filled the air. The human was hit once, then twice. A claw caught his side, tearing skin. Another struck his chest, sending him rolling across the floor. Pain showed on his face now. Blood ran freely. His breath came harder. The crowd relaxed. Valith leaned back slightly, certain the moment had passed. The human pushed himself up, slowly, clearly in pain, but he stood. The alien roared, a sound of triumph, and advanced again. This time it did not rush. It circled, confident, patient. It knew the human could not survive many more hits. The human knew it too. Valith noticed something else then. The human's eyes had changed. They were sharper now, following every movement, every shift in balance. He was learning. Another strike came. The human blocked it with his arm. The sound of bone cracking echoed through the arena. Gasps rippled through the crowd. No species would willingly sacrifice a limb like that. The pain alone should have caused collapse. The human screamed, a short, raw sound, but he did not fall. Instead, he grabbed the alien's arm with his unbroken hand and twisted, using his body weight and the alien's forward motion. The alien howled, more in surprise than pain, and staggered back. Valith's grip tightened on the edge of her seat. Medical data streamed across her display. The human's injuries were severe. Internal damage, blood loss, structural failure in one arm. His survival time was limited. Yet he stepped forward again, not in anger, not in rage, in choice. The alien struck him again, sending him crashing to the ground. This time, the human did not rise immediately. His chest heaved, blood spread across the stone beneath him. Silence settled over the arena, heavy and expectant. Valith thought it was over, then the human laughed. It was quiet, weak, but unmistakable. The sound unsettled the crowd more than any victory cry could have. Laughter had no place here. Laughter meant defiance. The human pushed himself up again, slower now. His legs shook. His broken arm hung useless at his side. His breathing was rough, uneven. Still he stood. The alien hesitated. That hesitation was new. Valeth felt something shift in her understanding. This was not strength, not speed, not aggression. This was something harder to define. The human was not fighting to win. He was fighting because stopping was not an option. Another exchange followed. Shorter now, closer. The human stayed near the alien's body, limiting the power of its strikes. He used elbows, shoulders, his own weight. Each movement was inefficient but purposeful. He absorbed pain to create openings. He let himself be hit if it meant learning how the alien moved. The crowd watched in silence now. Time passed. Too much time. Arena fights were measured in moments. This had stretched far beyond expectation. The alien's breathing grew heavy. Its movement slowed, not from injury, but from exhaustion. Its body was built for bursts of power, not drawn-out struggle. The human collapsed again, forced to one knee. Valeth found herself leaning forward without realizing it. The alien raised its claw for the final strike. The human looked up. Their eyes met across the space between them. In that moment, Valeth saw something in the human's expression that sent a chill through her frame. There was no fear there, only focus, only intent. The human shifted his weight. When the strike came down, he moved into it, not away. He slammed his shoulder into the alien's leg while wrapping his good arm around its joint. Pain exploded through his body, but he held on, twisting with everything he had. The alien fell. Stone cracked as its weight hit the ground. The sound echoed through the arena, louder than any roar. Both fighters lay still. For a long moment, no one breathed. Then the alien tried to rise. It failed. Its limb bent at an angle it was never meant to bend. Its strength was gone, drained by effort and shock. It lay there, alive, defeated, unable to continue. The signal sounded. The fight was over. The arena erupted, not in celebration, but in stunned noise. Voices overlapped in disbelief. Data screens flickered as classifications updated and then froze, unable to process what had just happened. The human remained on the ground. Medics rushed forward, cautious, unsure if the fight truly had ended. When they reached him, his eyes were closed, his breathing shallow but steady. He was alive. Valeth exhaled slowly. Around her, others spoke of rules, of mistakes, of impossible outcomes. She did not join them. Her attention remained on the human as he was carried from the arena, bloodied, broken, victorious, without victory poses or declarations. Without realizing she had spoken, Valeth whispered softly, more to herself than to anyone else, "I wish he belonged to me." From understanding the value of something that could not be easily controlled. As the arena lights dimmed and the crowd began to disperse, Valeth knew one truth with absolute clarity. This was only the beginning. The human woke to light that was too white and a silence that felt heavy. For a moment, he did not remember where he was. Pain came next, slow and spreading, filling his chest, his arm, his ribs. He tried to move and failed. A soft sound escaped his throat, more breath than voice. Machines noticed. Thin lights shifted above him. Something hummed closer. A calm artificial voice spoke in a language he did not understand, then changed tone and tried again, this time in broken but careful human speech. "Remain still." Healing in progress. Around him stood beings of different shapes and sizes, all wearing the same symbol on their chests. Medics, observers, guards, none of them spoke loudly. Most watched him with the careful distance one might give to an unknown animal. One of them stood apart. Valeth. She was taller than most in the room, her posture straight, her presence calm but heavy. Her eyes followed every small movement the human made. When his gaze met hers, she did not look away. He frowned slightly, then closed his eyes again. "Still conscious," one medic said in a clicking tone. "Barely," another replied. Valeth raised one hand and the room quieted immediately. "He will live?" she asked. "Yes," the medic answered. "Against expectation." His body shows extreme damage, but also unusual recovery patterns. Pain tolerance far beyond standard limits. He should not have survived the arena. His face was still but tight with pain even in rest. "Reduce sedation," she ordered. The medics hesitated. "Commander." "Did I win?" he asked. His voice was rough but steady. "Yes," Valeth said. "The arena has declared it so. Didn't want any excuses. If I needed rules to survive, then I didn't deserve to. That happens too. Claim. Then there will be resistance back. So I've been told." His arm mended slowly, bones guided back into place by alien technology that worked with his body rather than against it. His ribs knitted together. His strength returned in small pieces. Throughout it all, eyes watched him. Scientists came with questions. He answered simply. Soldiers came to observe. He ignored them. Political envoys requested meetings. He declined. Valeth returned often. Sometimes she spoke. Sometimes she only watched. She learned things by watching. How he endured pain without complaint. How he thanked medics even when they hurt him. How he refused assistance he could do without, but accepted it without pride when he truly needed it. One day, she found him sitting upright, staring out a wide window that showed the curve of a distant planet. Beautiful, he said, not turning as she entered. It is not your world, she replied. No, he agreed, still beautiful. What do you think? Loyalty earned, not forced. The council meeting would change nothing. When she left the room, she knew the galaxy would not remain the same, because humans did not bend easily, and they did not forget who tried to make them kneel. The chamber of the council was larger than the arena, but it felt more dangerous. Where the arena had been honest about violence, this place hid it behind polished stone and careful words. The walls curved upward into shadows, and symbols of old power were carved deep into every surface. Seats rose in wide circles, each one occupied by representatives of different species, each one carrying authority earned through conquest, trade, or fear. The human stood alone at the center. He wore simple clothing provided by the station, loose around his still-healing body. His arm remained supported by a light brace, faintly glowing as it continued its work. He looked small here too, just as he had in the arena, but now the council knew better than to mistake size for weakness. Valeth stood among them, higher than most, her position earned through decades of command. From where she sat, she could see every movement the human made. His posture was straight. Not proud, not submissive, just steady. The council speaker rose, its voice carried through the chamber without effort. Human representative, it said, you stand before this council as an anomaly. Stated. You demonstrated endurance beyond prediction, another council member said. Adaptation speed not previously recorded, psychological resistance to fear. Humans spoke too easily to power. The speaker raised a limb. This council does not seek conflict, we seek resolution. Valeth saw interest spark where there had once been dismissal. We will be direct, the speaker said. The council offers your species protection, resources, guidance. In exchange, humanity will align with council interests. Compliance with council directives. This is survival. Every predator thinks it's the strongest one in the room, right up until it is. Valeth watched the reactions ripple outward. Some showed anger, some curiosity, a few something close to respect. You are injured, the speaker said at last. You are alone, yet you speak as if you hold advantage. You saw one human fight alone, bare-handed. You saw endurance, adaptation, will. What you didn't see was why. So we save each other. What cost could you impose? I observed the arena fight firsthand, Valeth said. I have studied the human since. This council underestimates what it has encountered. If forced into submission, she continued, they will resist, not loudly, not quickly, but endlessly. Your victory has inspired unrest. Observation status. You may leave. I just showed it. As Elias walked away, she knew the council would spend cycles debating what to do about humanity. But humanity would not wait. They never did. The news did not travel fast, but it traveled far. Human space was still small compared to the old empires of the galaxy, a cluster of systems held together by shared history more than strong borders. When Elias returned, his ship carried no weapons, no gifts, no treaties carved into glowing stone. It carried only a message and the weight of what had been seen. People listened. They listened because Elias did not speak like a hero. He spoke like someone who had been hurt and had learned something important. He told them about the arena, about the council, about the offer that sounded like safety and felt like a cage. And humans, as always, argued. Some said alliance was wise, some said refusing power was foolish. Some said the galaxy was too big, too dangerous, and that pride would get them killed. But beneath all the noise, something steady formed, a shared understanding. They remembered their own past, old empires on Earth. Old promises of protection that came with chains. Old words that sounded kind and ended in control. Humanity had survived not because it was strong, but because it learned when to say no. So they said no again, not loudly, not with fleets or threats. They said no by building. Shipyards expanded quietly, not warships, but ships meant to last. Hulls reinforced, systems made redundant. Designs changed to favor survival over speed. Colonies adjusted defenses not to look threatening but to be difficult to break. Humans shared knowledge freely among themselves. Medical data from the arena spread through their networks. Studies on endurance, pain response, recovery, not to create soldiers but to understand what they already were. The council watched. Valith watched more closely than most. Reports came in daily. Human activity increased but not in aggressive patterns. No fleets massed at borders, no threats issued, yet something felt wrong, or rather something felt different. Humans were preparing but not for conquest. They were preparing to endure. Within the council, voices grew restless. They refuse alignment, one representative said. They strengthen quietly. The speaker's eyes narrowed. You defend them often. Neutral systems suddenly enforced old laws more strictly when humans were involved. No single act was hostile. Together, they formed a tightening circle. Elias felt it. He stood on a station overlooking one of humanity's core shipyards, watching vessels take shape against the stars. Valith stood beside him, having come unannounced. They're squeezing, he said. Yes, she replied. You warned them. They already fear that. The council grew impatient. If this continues, one member said, they will become a symbol. Control. He gathered people, not generals, not politicians, engineers, medics, pilots, ordinary humans who understood one thing very well: when something bigger pushed them, they either collapsed or adapted. We're not going to attack, Elias said. We're not going to beg. A mining world with thin atmosphere and hard ground. Council ships arrived in formation, precise and overwhelming. They broadcast authority. They demanded compliance. The humans did not resist. They evacuated every person, every vital system. They shut down operations and left behind only empty structures and automated messages. The council forces took control of nothing. Days passed. Then weeks. The humans did not return. Instead, something else happened. Across council space, systems began to fail, not catastrophically, subtly. Maintenance schedules fell behind. Supply chains slowed. Small errors compounded. Human technicians, once hired everywhere, were gone. Human crews, once filling unglamorous but critical roles, had withdrawn. Human adaptability, quietly woven into the functioning of many systems, was no longer there. Valith saw the reports and understood. Humans had not attacked. They had stepped away, and the galaxy felt it. These are inconveniences, the speaker said. They are warnings, Valith replied. They can be replaced. Workers on distant stations refused arena matches, citing the human example. Minor species questioned old laws, not with violence but with refusal. The council had wanted to remind humanity of its place. Instead, humanity had reminded the galaxy of choice. Valith met Elias again, this time via secure channel. They are struggling, she said. We didn't cause that, Elias replied. We just stopped holding things together for them. You are changing things faster than I expected, Valith said. We're not trying to, Elias replied. We're just being human. Valith stood once more. They are not fighting us, they are surviving without us. Outside, ships continued to launch from human space. Not in attack patterns, but in exploration. New routes, new contacts, new connections built on equal terms. The galaxy was not at war, but it was no longer comfortable. And that, Valith realized, might be the most powerful move humanity had ever made. The galaxy did not break all at once. It bent. At first, the changes were small enough that many chose to ignore them. Trade councils met more often. Maintenance budgets grew. Systems that had once run smoothly with little effort now demanded attention. Nothing failed loudly. Nothing exploded. There were no great disasters that could be pointed to and blamed on a single cause. There was only friction. Valith watched the reports stack higher each cycle. Minor species delayed compliance. Arena attendance dropped sharply. Several worlds quietly dismantled their combat pits, citing safety concerns, resource costs, or cultural reevaluation. None of them mentioned humans directly, but everyone knew. Humanity had become an idea, and ideas were difficult to suppress. The council chamber felt different now, less confident, more tense. The same ancient symbols lined the walls, but they no longer felt permanent. Valith stood among the representatives once more, listening as the speaker struggled to maintain authority. This instability must be addressed, the speaker said. Order cannot be optional. Order that relies on obedience rather than consent is already failing. Then what do you suggest, Commander? That would encourage defiance. Around him, humans worked together, building shelters, setting foundations, laughing despite the effort. They were tired. The pressure had not vanished. Resources were still tight, travel still difficult, but there was a quiet pride in what they had done. They had not bowed, they had not struck out in anger, they had simply refused to disappear. A message arrived while Elias watched the horizon. From Valeth, he listened carefully, his expression unreadable. "They're ready to talk," she said. "Really talk." A station long used for trade and diplomacy, stripped of symbols and status markers, just a place. Elias arrived with no guards, no displays of strength, only representatives chosen for their ability to listen. Valeth met him at the entrance. "You didn't have to come yourself," she said. "Yes," Elias replied. "I did." The council speaker addressed him directly this time, without distance or ceremony. "Humanity has demonstrated resilience," it said, "and influence. You challenge fundamental assumptions. No ownership. Not subordinate, not bound by compulsory alignment. But it makes it honest." They shared technology openly. They learned from others without demanding obedience. Some failed, some struggled, but they endured. Other species began to adopt similar approaches: decentralized systems, shared responsibility, voluntary cooperation. The council transformed not by decree but by necessity. Valeth watched it all with a strange sense of fulfillment. She met Elias one last time, standing on a station overlooking a bustling crossroads of species and cultures. "You never belonged to anyone," she said quietly. "No," Elias replied, "but we belong to each other. History should remember when people choose better." Watching the human fight barehanded, she whispered, "I wish he belonged to me." HFY Sci-fi Story.